Engaging writing is like a good thriller. It has no dull moment. This is lesson 30 in the Architecture of Grammar. My name is Léandre Larouche. I'm the author of the Architecture of Grammar and the founder of Trivium Writing. It's lesson 30, the last lesson in this video series. And we're going to be talking about what actually makes writing engaging, what actually makes readers want to keep reading your work, and how you can actually make anything, no matter how boring, read like something that people want to read. So there are 5 elements that we're going to be discussing in this video. We've got sentence types, we've got phrases, we've got metaphors and similes, we've got strong words, and we've got state of being verbs. These should not be new. A lot of these elements, all of these elements we've discussed throughout the last 30 videos in this video series. This is where everything you've learned from the Architecture of Grammar comes together, and you're using all of the patterns, all of the elements, you bring them together and you make your writing engaging. Because what I mean when I say that engaging writing is like a thriller is that a thriller is unpredictable. You don't know where the storyline is going to go. And good writing at many different levels of analysis is just like that. You have to be unpredictable, not just with the information, with the content. You have to be unpredictable with all these elements in the writing. Let's start with sentence types. We've discussed that there are 4 sentence types. There are 4 sentence types. There's simple sentence, complex sentence, compound sentence, and compound complex sentence. What you want to do in your writing is to make sure that you have all these different lengths, okay, all these different types. You want to have long, short, like this. So it's never the same, because if they're all the same, if they're like this, they're all the same, then it's predictable. We always know we are served the same sentence. So we get bored and we don't want to keep reading, even if the content is interesting. That's the sad reality. Now, the same is true of sentence length. We have these sentence types. We want to be using all 4 in moderation and based on which audience and which tone we're writing with. But we want to vary the sentence types. Now, that's the first element. The second element is the phrases. We've discussed this throughout the entire 30 videos in this series, but we have a who and we have a what. Now, the who and the what is not enough. Most of the time we have a when, a where, how, right? It could be any or every of these, but we have more than the who and the what. So using phrases and using them creatively is what makes your writing more rich, more interesting. But the thing about the phrases, about the how, the why, the when, the where, it's not necessarily that simple to make your writing really engaging. What you can do is use metaphors and similes. These are devices that you use in order to make your writing more beautiful. A metaphor is essentially a comparison that is not really a comparison. If I say my yard is a mirror, that is a metaphor. But if I say my yard is like a mirror, then that's a simile, because it's more so a actual comparison that I'm making. When I say my yard is a mirror, I'm saying it literally is a mirror, and so it creates this image, but that's not real. My yard isn't actually a mirror. If I say my yard is like a mirror, then it's a bit more realistic. It's, again, an actual comparison. Now, you can use all kinds of imagery as well. Metaphors and similes are simply ways to create imagery, but You want to use imagery in general to make your writing engaging, and you want to choose images that fit the style of writing, the audience that you're writing for, and the tone. And you can get to really interesting things because you can choose a field of reference. For example, you may be talking about warfare, or you can compare something to warfare, and so you can keep using imagery about war, for example. Now, using strong words, we've talked about that a lot, but it's worth reiterating. Strong nouns, strong verbs. You don't want to be using useless adjectives and adverbs. Focus on strong words. Instead of destroy, obliterate. Instead of a ridiculous politician, a clown. These are strong nouns, these are strong verbs. These will make your writing better. State of being verbs. You want to avoid them as much as possible. State of being verbs are verbs that are used, for example, has caused, might cause, could cause. The could, the might, the has, these are a different verb from the actual verb that you're talking about. And so you want to avoid having those state of being verbs because they just they're cumbersome. They don't add a lot of value. In some cases though, they're necessary, but a lot of the time they're not. So again, go back to the rule that you should put every word on trial for its life. And if you can find a better way to write your sentence without having to do that, without having to use these state of being verbs, then you're going to be a lot better off. I can guarantee you that. So again, the key to creating engaging writing is to use these different elements. So what you want to do is vary everything. So you have these sentence types, you have these phrases, you have these metaphors, you have these strong verbs, you have these state of being that you want to avoid. And so what you want to do is create a text, a style that's unpredictable. Let me go a little deeper into what I mean by that. You've got a line here. This is the direction of your text. Typically, you're going forward, okay? But sometimes you need to go backward. And the way that you go backward is by using a negation. For example, but, yet, however, nonetheless. And then you go back and then you can do like this. But essentially what you want to make sure of is that you are not always going in the same direction, right? So you want to make sure that this is unpredictable. You want to make sure that you're writing using all of these different things that we've talked about throughout this video series. You want to make sure that it is a roller coaster, that it's not, because here's the thing, this is unpredictable, this is not even, but you could have something like this. You've got changes here, but they're all the same. So we don't want that. That's not good. What we want is something like this, an actual roller coaster that's not predictable. If we can see through what you're doing, you're not doing it right because it should be invisible. At the end of the day, and this is what I want to leave you with, if you've learned anything from this video series, and I want it to be this, good writing is writing in which the writer is invisible. Good writing is writing in which the writer is invisible. There is a notion in cinema, in filmmaking, it's called the fourth wall. The fourth wall is the camera. Most of the time, except in shows that are humorous, like The Office, we don't break the fourth wall. People, the characters in a movie or in the show don't talk to the camera. And so if they do so, it's breaking the fourth wall. If they look at the camera, it breaks the fourth wall, and the illusion of being in the room with them is broken. When you show yourself as the author, and by that I don't mean content-wise, I don't mean being personal. What I mean is by showing your biases and the way that you write and the writing, that breaks the illusion, that breaks the immersion. And so it hinders the quality of your writing, and it takes people out of the experience, and it makes them a little bit uncomfortable. So you want to make sure that you're using your unpredictable. People can see through your writing strategy. They enjoy your style. They can't see what you're doing, but they enjoy it. And you're not there as the author. You're only there in content. You don't see you making these little mistakes here and there. And this is what you need to understand about the architecture of grammar. This is all about being unpredictable. This is all about creating the illusion that readers are wherever they should be based on the writing. And this is true in fiction, this is true in nonfiction, this is true in poetry, this is true in any type of writing at all. So this was a lesson 30 in the architecture of grammar. I hope that you've enjoyed this video series. Go in your book, The Architecture of Grammar, check out the examples, make sure you do the exercises, and keep studying this book because it's an important piece of work that, if studied well, will make you extremely powerful. Thank you for watching this video series, and I look forward to talking to you soon.